Well, welcome back to Alpine Garage Sports. It is getting really close to early afternoon here in Colorado, and I'm about to leave the garage and head down to Folsom and kind of bring you some pregame activities. But I thought I'd take a second to do kind of a quick pregame for you here. And what I'm going to bring you in this video is the what to expect timeline. So there's a lot of things that are going on at University of Colorado today. So I bring you that timeline, where to watch, keys to the game, just a real quick snippet of what I'm kind of looking for the game, what we're going to be seeing. And then last, my schedule today for lives, because I'm going to go live probably about 3 times today for my usual stuff that I bring you, plus a couple of extra ones. So first, let's go to the timeline. Let me bring up the timeline here. And you can see that the parking lot's open at noon, which I'll be there probably a little bit after that. And then at 2:30 is the Big 12 student tailgate over on Farrand Field, which is there's going to be a DJ there. It's going to be a pretty big deal. I might even go over there and do a live. I'm not sure. So maybe around 2:30 I'll be live, and I'll add that to the list. I don't know if I'm going to do that one or not. But there's going to be a student tailgate there on Farrand. That's where they had Fox Big Noon kickoff last year a couple of times. Real big area right in the middle of the school there. And then at 3 o'clock, Fan Fest opens. Fan Fest is a really cool place where they have a lot of vendors, and there's a lot of area to just kind of mill around, talk to people. There's tables down there. There's food. There's beer and other drinks down there as well. At 3:45 is the Buff Walk, and that's when the players go from the buses to the IPF or the where they're going to get dressed to get into the stadium. That's going to be at 3:45. So I'm probably going to go live somewhere around 3:40. This is all Mountain Time, so that I can bring you that as well. And then this week, hopefully, they will. The school will get the players into the red area, and we'll actually be on top of it. But I'm going to bring you that live at 3:40, the Buff Walk, and then Folsom Field gates open at 4. The national anthem is at 5:30. Ralphie runs at exactly 6 o'clock. And then the kickoff is at 6:05. It is an all whiteout game. And today I was just looking at the weather, and it looks like the weather's actually holding off a little bit. So we're probably not going to see precipitation, or at least it says we're not, until probably close to halftime. And if we do, it's probably going to be drizzle, and it's going to pick up after halftime. And towards the fourth quarter, you'll probably see a little bit more precipitation. We're looking at probably close to a foot or bigger in the mountains right outside of Boulder there. And tomorrow morning, I'm actually going on a leaf peeping trip up in the mountains, and we're going to be blazing through all that deep snow. And I might bring you live there. There's not a lot of cell reception. I'll at least video it and throw it up there if you guys want to see it later, so you can see what it's like to get up there in the mountains in the fall with an impending or during a big whiteout. So that's what I'll do. Now let's get to the game is going to be on Fox today, so you all should be able to see it without having to have cable, and you won't have to stream it unless you're somewhere else. But Fox is going to have it on at kickoff at 6 p.m. and that is Mountain Time. So I'm really excited about that. I really love the fact that, you guys don't have to go to some random network in order to see these games now, which is probably the most quintessential thing about the Prime Effect here in Colorado, is that the folks that are outside of Colorado or even in Colorado can see this game without having to really do a lot. So that's really cool. Big Dog Chico's in the house. Hey, Big Dog, are you in Colorado? Or are you going to be at this game today? Let me know. Now, let's go to the keys to the game, and I'm going to actually show you the depth chart here real quick. We'll go over the depth chart, and you guys can kind of get an idea of where we're going to be, who we're going to be playing today from that standpoint. Let's pull that up real quick. I'm going to share that. All right. So right now, it looks like wide receivers are going to be, our starting wide receivers are going to be the same 4 that we always start with, because these are our best 4. And that's Shepard, Horn, Hunter, and Wester. And then we have our starting line is going to be Philip Houston, Khalil Benson, Hank Zelinskas, Tyler Brown, and Jordan Seaton. So familiar faces on that front line as well. Savell Smalls is our starting tight end. And we'll get to that here in just a second. Quarterback Sheduer Sanders, backup Ryan Staub. Running backs, Isaiah Augustave is given the nod as the starter today, backed up by Micah Welch, Charlie Offerdahl, Brandon Hood, and Dallin Hayden is actually listed in italics, so I don't think he's going to be playing today. And then on defense, BJ Green is going to be heading one side, and then you've got Shane Cokes, Anquin Barnes, and Dan Hayes on the other side. Those are our starters there. Linebackers, I'm glad to see this. We have Hill Green and Bentley starting today. So that's going to be a big deal for us. We've been really good against the run with those two guys in, and I honestly think that they're going to be running the ball a lot today. So there you have that. Safeties are going to be Stoutmeyer and Silman Craig. Cornerbacks, McKinney and Preston Hodge. And that is what I've got to say about that. So a pretty common, I guess, at this point, outside of a few positions, a pretty common starting group for us. So that is awesome, and I'm looking forward to that. Now, keys to the game. First, let's start with against Baylor. What are we going to do against Baylor? So Baylor's got, I'm not going to call it a 2-quarterback system, but they've got 2 quarterbacks that are likely going to play today, with their starter probably being Sawyer Robinson. And you may not have heard of him a lot, but he's 72.4% completion right now. He's a really good quarterback. You don't see him run it very often, and we have a pretty good pass defense, so I'm not really too concerned about him, especially if we can get to him like we did those other quarterbacks this year. If we can get to him even just a little bit, I think we're going to flush him out of the pocket, and his 72.4% is going to go way down at that point. So, and I don't really see Baylor as having some, super prolific receivers either. So I think that's the key to him, is let's get pressure on him. Now, keep up that rush defense. Number 81 in the country, and the reason why I say that is number 81 doesn't sound great, rush defense, but last year we were in the 120th percentile. So we are getting better. And honestly, that last game that we played probably bumped us up quite a bit. And they're going to be a rushing team. And the player to look out for on Baylor's rushing offense is going to be, what is his name? Bryson Washington. So Bryson basically played one game last week against, I believe it was Air Force, and he was a stud. And we're talking, I think, 12 rushes for like 109 yards or something like that. And they were kind of holding him back, and they let him loose. He kind of reminds me of Michael Welch in that way. He is their version of Michael Welch, and we got to be careful about him because his average was 8.8 yards against Air Force. And, Air Force is a rushing team. They practice rushing defense, obviously, because they play a lot of service schools. And so to pull an 8.8 average against that school, especially with the history of Air Force, is pretty remarkable. So I'm a little worried about him. But if we play like we've played in the last 6 quarters on defense against the rush, I don't think it's going to be too big a deal. And then Daquan Finn, who you do know about because Daquan came from Toledo. He's a very highly touted quarterback in the offseason. When he comes in, if he comes in, which it's likely that he may, if he can play, if Sawyer can't get it done, he is a menace on the run, and he loves to go off tackle. So we need to contain him. We need those edges to be able to press that contain and keep Daquan either trying to pass, which he's in the 50th percentile passing, so not too big a issue there. And he's not very good in between the tackles, and we can stuff that box pretty easily. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. Now on offense, I think this is something you don't hear me say very often, but I think we need to test their secondary early. They've only had 46 passes thrown against them. They're ranked the number 1 defense in the country just because they haven't played anybody and no one's throwing on them. But I think that we need to test them and see what we have as far as that's concerned. Are they as good as their numbers represent, or have they just not been tested and we can actually pick them off? So I think this is where I'm going to say, I normally say run early. I'm going to say pass early, and let's see what they'll give us in the secondary. Now, once we do that, we need to establish the run. And the reason why I say that is because we need to practice us establishing the run. I'm going to say against Baylor, I normally say 30-plus rushing attempts. If we have 25, I think we're going to be good from that standpoint. But we need to really manage this game from a time standpoint. Going forward, we're going to have games where we're going to need to do this more. And I'm not saying that Baylor's a pushover, even though I think we're going to win a little more handily than a lot of people do. I think that we need to practice this. And I published a video earlier today. It's the Nebraska debacle. Take a look at that. That is what I consider to be a lesson in game management. And it was Raiola and Nebraska basically, as far as I'm concerned, giving the game away in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes and 9 seconds left because of a game management issue. And I don't really want to get into that again with Colorado. We had 2 games starting out where we had 21-38 time of possession, meaning that we lost, 16, 17 minutes of time of possession in each game. In this last one, we actually had the time of possession advantage, and we won handily against CSU. So that time of possession advantage is big for us. We need to hold on to that, and that's why I say establish the run. Number 6 is play personnel groups that involve a tight end. We need to get our tight ends involved. And I know we don't have classic tight ends except for Sam Hart. I'm going to say Sam Hart, but he's not even the starter at this point. But we do have good athletes. I mean, Savell Smalls is a 5-star athlete, played tight end in high school. He was a 5-star coming out of high school. I don't know why we wouldn't give him the ball, give him the opportunity to score. If you watch any game with any top team, there's tight end play. And it's a really good wrinkle against the defense. They're not expecting, especially from Colorado. And I think we could establish it in this game. So I'm going to say that is my number 6. Man, I would love to see, this is a caveat. Okay. This is my caveat for the day right now, is we need to have a TD by a running back or a tight end today. Okay. So Chris, Alpine, why does it matter? Who cares who scores? Just score and let's win and let's get out of here. Here's the reason why I say that is because I think that with our 10 personnel groupings and the fact that we're 4 wide all the time with pretty much the same 4 wide receivers, again, going into Big 12 play, going into potentially even winning a Big 12 championship, which we can 100% do right now. There's no reason why we can't. We have not lost a Big 12 game, and everything is really on the table for us. And with Sheduer as our quarterback, if we can shore up that other side of the offense, which is the running offense and the short game offense with tight ends, and also, screens to running backs, halfback passes, stuff like that, which we've been very successful this year. In fact, I want to say we are 100% on halfback passes out to the flat to our running backs. We are, I want to say it's 4 for 4 or 5 for 5, something like that. And we have picked up more first downs on those than I can even count. So I think maybe out of those 5 passes, maybe 3 of them were first downs. So, and that's just a random stat, but still, I think that's a key to it. And if you look at a lot of the game footage, they're leaving that running back out on the flat. Like the defenses aren't even picking it up. But Sheduer isn't looking there because we have 4 wide receivers in play, and all 4 are good wide receivers. And I understand that. I'm just going to put that out there. You guys roast me in the comments if you don't think that that's true. Number 7 is with the lead. And we are going to have a lead going into the 3rd, 4th quarter. With the lead, we need to game management. We need to sit on the ball a little bit, let that clock bleed, practice keeping it away from Baylor. At altitude in the 4th quarter, I have absolutely no pause in saying that they're going to be winded and dejected. And if we can just keep pounding it and pounding it and pounding it and pounding it and drain that clock, it's not super sexy. I get it. It's not sexy. I understand that. But we need to practice that at some point. With the lead, game management at the end is what I'm going to say. And then number 8, don't be afraid of our kicking game. If we need to kick a field goal, don't try to just keep it in Sheduer's hands because you think it's smarter than kicking a field goal. If it comes down to it, we need the field goal. We have a good kicking team. They haven't been good lately, but we have to trust the fact that we have a good kicker, we have good blockers, and that we can actually make this work. I'm afraid to be afraid. Put it that way. I'm afraid to be afraid. Don't be afraid of our kicking game. So those are my keys to the game. Let's get to some comments here. Oh, actually, first, let me tell you what my lives are going to be today. I may go live around 2:30 to 3 o'clock at the student tailgate. It just depends on what that looks like. If it isn't turning out to be much, I'm probably not going to go live there. I'm 100% going to be live at 3:40. This is all Mountain Time for the Buff Walk. I'm going to be live at 5 o'clock Mountain Time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around Folsom with you. The outside of Folsom, the inside of Folsom, I'm going to show you the scoreboard. We're going to go into Balk Field House, and I'll show you that. 1937, it was built, and it's been an institution and part of CU athletics since that day. And they're getting ready in a few years to really change it up. So I'm going to take you in there, and I'm going to show it to you. If the bandwidth will allow it, I'm going to take you in there and show you the history of CU and the Balk Field House. And then at 9:30, I'm going to watch the game because, again, I'm a fan, and that's the reason why I'm going to these games. At 9:30 outside of Folsom, I'm going to do a post-game show and we'll wrap it up. So those are my lives. So potentially 2:30, definitely 3:40, definitely 5 o'clock, definitely 9:30. So I'll give you that. Now, let's take some comments. Let's see. The media has been saying that Baylor safeties are their weak spot on defense. Travis Wester and J5 will have a big game today. I have heard that too. I've also heard that they are the best in the country. Okay, so I heard that from somewhere, and the fact that they're number one in defense right now, I think they're just looking at stats. But I agree with you. I think we can expose them. TJ says, I think we're going to run the ball well today. I hope so, TJ. I want to see, normally I would like to see 30-plus rushes for 150 yards, but today I'll settle for 25 for 110. And the reason why is because I think that we could take advantage of their soft defense from the fact that they haven't had to really, cover passes too much. TJ said we should use Sam Hart. I agree, TJ, 100%. We should use Sam Hart. I want to see what he can do, but, I'm a big – sorry. I am a big Savell Smalls fan, and for a lot of reasons. And the biggest one is because we have a 5-star player on our team that we don't talk about ever. We never talk about him. And we haven't had really given him tons of opportunity last year in defense this year, especially on offense. I think he only has one catch as a tight end. We haven't given him much opportunity to shine. I think this is a game where we could possibly do that. Mario says, thanks, Alpine. Love your pregame lives. Well, I appreciate you too, Mario, and everybody else that's on this live. I'm going to wrap it up there unless anybody else has got a comment and say, go Buffs. My final score prediction is going to be, I think it's going to be about 30-10. I don't think that Baylor's going to put more than 10 points on Colorado. I think they're absolutely going to cover the spread. And I think that at this point, this is going to be a hallmark game for us going into the Big 12. And I'm going to say a hallmark from this standpoint. If we beat up Baylor, but we don't show our running offense and our tight ends, I don't know that this is going to be a hallmark win. I think it's just going to be a win. And we're going to have to make this hallmark win something else. But if we can have a balanced offense, Sheduer can get really good passing yards, let's say 350 or so. Travis can get 110 yards passing or 110 yards receiving. We can run for 110 to 120 yards, and our tight ends can be prolific in the game, even score a touchdown. I think I'm going to call that probably an unbeatable team in the Big 12. And I'm going to say it right here. If we can do that, unbeatable. We are going to be unbeatable if we can do that against Baylor today. That's it. That's a wrap from Alpine Garage Sports. I will see you today between 2:30 and 3:40 for a live. Please hang out and see me.